And welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news, following on from the show we did this morning. An element that I wanted to bring in but I actually ran out of time. So basically, United would snub Conte and Zidane even if they did decide to sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Now, this was a story in the Manchester Evening News this morning which I thought was very, very good, but also fits in with, I think, you know, at the end of the day, if your shower's leaking and it's leaking into your kitchen or whatever like that, you've got to do something about it. You can't just let it carry on, because eventually it's all going to fall through. If you've got a slow puncture on your bike or your car, then you've got to do something with it, because eventually you're going to break down. If you're in an unhappy relationship, yeah, most of us, well, some people might just put up with it, I suppose. But I'm not in an unhappy relationship, by the way. I don't know why I said most of us, because I'm very happy in my relationship. But if you are unhappy in your relationship, I would always advise you, because I've been in unhappy ones in the past, that maybe, as I keep digging this hole, you should get out of it, and you should be looking to get out of it. Now, if Manchester United are looking to get out of this relationship with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, then there is, and I would argue with anybody, there is... Look, any football club, even Manchester City, should be thinking about life after Pep, and Liverpool should be thinking about it with Klopp. Maybe because those two managers are so powerful, they might just go, I'm retiring, or I'm going to take a sabbatical. You know, Chelsea will always be thinking about life after Tuchel, because they can just click their fingers and get rid of a manager. Manchester United, I would hope, have got some sort of contingency if Solskjaer was to be sacked, and especially at the moment where, you know, I don't believe Solskjaer's going anywhere soon. But United would need to be wary of the... Look, with all due respect, if we lose to Leicester, we lose to Atalanta and we lose to Liverpool, the pressure on Solskjaer to go would be massive if we dropped another 6 points in the league. I mean, look, you'd have, instead of 14 from 21, you'd have 14 from 28. 27, I can't do math. So, you know, nearly 50% of our points would be dropped if we lose the next two games. So there has to be, you know, you can't be blind in business. And one thing Man United is not blind when it comes to business. Tchouaméni and Pogba were classed for France in a pivot, says John Boutrous. Thanks very much, John, for that breaking news. But on with the show. So what I want to say at the outset here is, and we're going to go through this, why United would not be interested in Conte and Zidane, according to this article in the Manchester Evening News, which also I would back up with my own knowledge around Conte, certainly, that we're not interested in Conte, is that if you don't want, or you do want Solskjaer to be manager, or you don't want Solskjaer to be manager, just park that for a moment. Because imagine we had to sack him. That's what I'm saying. Imagine if we did have to sack him. What you can't do is complain about a situation and then have a solution that isn't viable. And what I mean by that is, I think some people just go, Ole out, get rid of Ole. And they'll just lurch from one situation into another. And what I mean by that is that, look, without a shadow of a doubt, if Ole could press a button and get us playing good football and play the right 11, I would choose that over a new manager every day of the week. I think some people they've had enough of him, and they would take Conte, they would take Zidane, they would take Enrique, they would take Ten Hag. They just want rid of Ole. And some people, you know, that's their right. For me, I just want that button to switch. I want us to play good football with the right 11, with no more McFred, and I just want because it's less disruption. You know, to be honest with you, most things in life, do you want to change something, or do you just want the current thing that you've got to work well, that you're used to? And some people want change. I personally just want the current thing that we've got because it's less disruption. However, if you are that person who's saying, I just want Ole out, I want a manager, I do believe that when people say, let's get Conte, it's too reactionary. It is too reactionary to say to get Conte. And I agree with the club that they would not go anywhere near Conte. United wouldn't go anywhere near Conte. And I think any United fan that wants him, I understand that. I'm not going to say you're wrong, because everybody's got different opinions. Like, some people think that Rashford shouldn't start. Some people would start Martial. Some people would put Greenwood there and play Sancho on the right. Everyone's got a different opinion. That's absolutely fine. But the reason United won't go near Conte, and it's mentioned in this article I'm talking about from Manchester Evening News this morning, is that Conte is volatile. Conte is another Mourinho. Conte is another person that comes into a club, gobs off, is and has been successful, but he's not a long-term solution. He's a very destructive manager in relation to what he wants to achieve. And what I mean by that is, look, if you're making lasagna for tea and you're struggling with it, You get Conte round to solve it. He'll grab the lasagna, chuck it in the garden, and he'll make you steak and chips. And I'm not saying that steak and chips won't be nice, but what I'm saying is Conte is not going to come into Manchester United and go, ole. He's not actually. No, he's not. Ole is not Italian. Ciao. That's all I know. He's not going to come in and go, like you cut G, says FIFA gangster, thank you very much. He's not going to come into that football club and go, oh, I know you're all about youth. I know you're all about like bringing the youth through, playing the United way, playing with a 4-4 at the back and using the width. I'm going to adapt to that. He's not. He's going to come in and go, I'm going to play with a back five. I want my own players. I don't care about Fred. Don't care about Rashford. I mean, he probably would play Rashford. But what I mean is, he's a volatile manager. He comes in with his own ideas, and that's part of his success. It's absolutely not what Manchester United want, and I'd be very, very surprised if it happens. It might be what you want, and I'm not going to argue with that, because at the end of the day, change can be good. Maybe that's what Man United need. Maybe Man United needs someone who comes in and just shakes it all up and goes, look, the only thing that remains is Old Trafford, the fans, and the name Manchester United. I'm going to build a new Manchester United that wins trophies. And a lot of you might go, you know what? That'll do for me. I don't care about the change. I don't care about a back five. I don't care about anything like that. I just want United to win. There'll be people like myself who go, I actually do care about that. You know, the history of this football club really matters to me. There's an identity to it. There is a style of play. We talk about the United way. It's not a myth. It feels like it over the last 8 years, but it's not a myth. And I think Conte would come in, break it all apart to try and win something like Mourinho did. And then if they don't win something, it's all broken apart and then it needs rebuilding again. So I don't think United would go near Conte. But I think the main reason United won't go near Conte is not for my reason. My reason, I've just explained it there. I don't want that sort of a solution for United, even though it could work. I haven't got all the answers. The reason United won't go for a Conte is they don't want to break the status quo. Manchester United want a specific type of manager. They want a manager that's respected. They want a manager that doesn't make waves, and they want a manager that will fall into line. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is all of those things, but also he's got the golden bullet, really. He's got the fans love him. Now, any manager that comes in after Ole is not going to have that attachment unless you go and get a legend from the past, which I don't think we would do. But Manchester United won't go for Conte, not because he'll play a back five. That, you know, to be honest with you, that's never going to be a reason for the Glazers. They're not going to be there going, what? I'm not going to do an American accent. He's not playing a back five. He's going to play a back five. That wasn't an American accent either. They won't be bothered about a back five or a back four. But what they will be bothered about is they won't want another tempestuous manager. They want, and this is true, and it's funny because it says it in the Manchester Evening News article this morning, but it says it in there and it's true. United would go for Southgate over Conte because Southgate is never going to make any waves. He's respected, and he'd come into that club and he'd fall into line. And what I mean by fall into line is there's a lot that goes on in that football club that's incompetent on a football level. Manchester United, I think we'd all agree, is a football club that's based around a business. It's a business. Nobody who works for United never ever comes out while they're at United and goes, well, look, you know, Ollie's not going to do his press conference on Friday and say, well, at the end of the day, one of the big problems we've got here is that the leadership are all business people. They know nothing about football and their motivation is business, and that holds us back a bit. It's absolutely true, but he'll never say it because Ollie's going to toe the party line of his employer. And if he didn't, they'd probably sack him. But a Conte's probably not going to do that. And a Mourinho, whilst he did do it, did drop a lot of hints out there that he wasn't happy. So United will always want a conservative yes man. And that's not a political choice. Doesn't mean they vote Conservative. What I mean is somebody that's going to follow the party line. And ultimately, that is what a Southgate would do. So they would much rather have a Southgate than a Conte. So I think ultimately, let's face it, Ollie in or out is pointless because of action. We will never get back to the top with our ownership. Change the top and the rest will follow. I've always said that, Edward Walters. This is why the whole Ollie out thing, Mourinho out thing, Van Gaal out, Moyes out. When you look at it, it's all futile. Even though I was there saying Van Gaal out, Mourinho out. When I look at it with Ollie, and look, again, it references it in the article, and it's Samuel Luckhurst, who's the chief Manchester United correspondent for Manchester Evening News. He basically said, and he's right, Ollie out will trend again, but he will not be going out of this football club for Conte. because that's not what United are going to do. There's no doubt Ollie out will trend again, because to be honest with you, I think Ollie's on thin ice and has been for a long time. And any time there's a bad result, it's going to happen. That's what happens. Doesn't mean he's going to get the sack. I don't want him to get the sack. I want him to turn it around and do well. But what we're talking about here is what's the club's view, and you as a fan have got to wake up and smell the coffee on that. That what you want for this football club is not going to happen. If you want a Conte or a Zidane, Conte is not going to happen for the reasons I've just said there. And ultimately, that previous chat is absolutely spot on. That, as Edward Walters says, United, if you change the owners, if we're Newcastle now, you know Ollie's on borrowed time like Steve Bruce, because they've got the money and they want the best. The best thing that can happen for United is the Glazers go, because then, you know, you might get somebody in who's interested in football. Mark, are you going to crap on every alternative that's linked to replacing Ollie? I remember you doing exactly the same on video on POCH. Ollie also plays defensive, says Yankee. I've only spoken about Conte so far, Yankee, and it is going to be a very interactive show, and that's why I held it back till 2 o'clock. So I thank you for the construction. We've only spoken about Conte. I've still got to talk about Zidane, and there are other options. So hold your horses on this. Is Ollie Liverpool's Brendan Rodgers, meaning he can make big improvements but can only take us so far until step up, like they did with Klopp, says Carl Matthews. Look, I don't really believe in echoes of the past. That'd be a good name for a James Bond film, Echoes of the Past. There you go, you can have that. But you know what? You're probably right. I mean, some people have said, is Ollie the Kenny Dalglish in 2012 who came in after Hodgson and provided some stability? Is he the Brendan Rodgers who can't win trophies but provides a platform for another manager to come in? Ultimately, I'm not interested in what Liverpool are doing. The only thing that interests me in Liverpool is that they're going to compete for a title, and that's what I want to do. You know, Liverpool appointed a very, very, very respected and exciting coach in Jurgen Klopp, and it worked. Manchester City brought in Pep Guardiola, one of the top managers in the world, with a very, very distinct style of football, and it worked. Chelsea went for Tuchel. I wouldn't have done that, and it worked. So I'll never sit here and say United shouldn't go for Conte because it'll fail. He might be the answer. I didn't think Tuchel was going to do well at Chelsea, but he did. I wouldn't take Conte because I don't think he fits with what I want Manchester United to be. The club won't take him because, not for that reason, because he's too opinionated and volatile and they can't control him. United don't want another Mourinho, and that's what Conte would be. They don't want another manager that's intelligent, opinionated and believes their way is right. And ultimately, if you go to Manchester United and become a manager, you've got to fall into line of what Manchester United is. Manchester United isn't about being the best football team in the world. Manchester United is about being the best money-making machine for the Glazers. That's what it is. And it's a big spin. And you better get on that roundabout and you better not say anything while you're on there. You do as you're told. And United is very much about that. It's the status quo. You know, it is. And Ollie falls into that. And, you know, Gareth Southgate would fall into that. They want somebody that's not... What United don't want are the leaks about how incompetent things are. They want everybody singing off the same hymn sheet. You know, Friends Reunited, Friends FC, whatever it is, you know, that's what it is. But look, let's talk about Zidane next. So we spoke about Conte, and it does say Zidane, and it also mentions POCH in the title if you read it. So why wouldn't United go for Zidane? Now, this is interesting, and I'm going to reference the Manchester Evening News on this, and they're basically saying that the problem with Zidane is that he'd be too successful. He's too successful a coach to bring in. If you look at his history at Real Madrid, he was a fantastic player there, and he inherited fantastic players who respected him and listened to him, and you know, ultimately they were very, very, very successful. Amongst other things, they won 3 Champions Leagues in a row. Why wouldn't United want Zidane? Because ultimately he wouldn't be dealing with the same sort of history that he had at Real Madrid. He hasn't played for Manchester United. He'd be dealing with a set of players that aren't of the quality that he had at Real Madrid. And he'll also be dealing in a league where it's not a 2-horse race, where it's a 5, 6, 7-horse race at times. And would Zidane be able to deal with that? I mean, look, he knows how to manage Ronaldo. Pogba would love to play under him. There are positives. But again, I think United would avoid Zidane for a different reason. I think they'd find Zidane too intimidating. I think they wouldn't, for the same reason they wouldn't get a Klopp or they wouldn't get a Pep, even if they wanted to, because these managers are too good for Manchester United. And what I mean by that is, you're talking about the board. Now, I would take Zidane. I wouldn't take Conte. I would take Zidane. I've always been a big fan of Zidane. I personally think they should have gone for Zidane when Mourinho went. I think he was available in the summer, and I think we should have waited and gone for Zidane then. I would take Zidane at Manchester United in this hypothetical world we're talking about. And as I said, this is not me saying get Zidane and sack Ollie. I don't think Zidane would take the job now anyway. So look, if somebody's saying you keep Ollie till the end of the season and then you get Zidane if it fails, I'm all for that. But the reason I don't think United would go for Zidane, even if they did decide to move Solskjaer on, and let's not forget, both Conte and Zidane are available and they wouldn't cost any money, which would appeal to United. The reason I don't think United would want to go for Zidane is because I think he would be too intimidating to United, because he'd be too much of a winner for United. And I don't think, well, obviously it probably won't be Ed Woodward by that time. It'd be Richard Arnold and Judge and Murta. I don't think those people would have. Again, it's about maintaining the status quo. They want to bring somebody in that doesn't make them feel inferior. They don't want to bring somebody in that's like the boss. I am the boss. I am better than you. And Zidane would come in and be better than them, but not in the way that Mourinho was or Conte would. They're volatile managers. I don't think Zidane's a volatile manager. I think Zidane's a very respected and calm manager, but he comes in with a level of experience and class that would swamp United's board. They would be like under his spell, I suppose, and they don't want that. They want a manager they can control, and effectively that's why they wouldn't want Conte, and that's why they wouldn't want Zidane, because they wouldn't be able to control Zidane, because he'd be on a different level to them. Personally, I think Zidane would be a good shout. I think we've tried the Mourinho type, we've tried the older statesman Van Gaal type, we've tried the Premier League manager with Moyes. At the moment, we're doing the legend thing. If it doesn't work out with Ollie, then I think Zidane's a very different type of manager that we should go for. But I don't think this current ownership would. I tell you where I think this club would go for Zidane if we did get a new owner in. I think that's when you'd get a Zidane. I think if you got a new owner in, Zidane would probably be top of their list. Yes or no? Does Ollie have to go if we don't win any trophies this year? Says Macaulay Davies. Look, I don't like sitting on the fence, mate. I really don't. But ultimately, what if we finish second and we miss out on the final day, but we win no trophies? You don't get rid of him then. I think if we finish fourth by a long way off the top and we don't win a trophy, then I think it's time to move on. But I don't know necessarily whether United would think that. So yeah, look, that's the reason United would snub Conte and Zidane, even if Ollie was to leave the club. As I say, this is not a video about Solskjaer leaving. Solskjaer is the coach. I think that's the right decision at the moment, and this situation very much can be turned around. I said this on Twitter earlier: Ronaldo, Pogba, Bruno, De Gea, Rashford, Greenwood, Sancho, and many others. We've got an abundant Varane, Shaw, Maguire, Wan-Bissaka. We've got a massive, amazing amount of quality players at this football club. We can turn this season into a decent season. I hope that we can. I don't believe we can, but I hope that we can. But what underlines all of that is there are no excuses. We must succeed this season under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And when I say that, we must succeed this month. One of the good things about the next few games is there's nowhere to hide. If we've got Norwich on Saturday and we beat them 3-0, Ollie's at the wheel again, but is he? We've got a difficult game against Leicester. We've got a difficult game against Liverpool, a difficult game against Spurs, and a difficult game against Man City, not to mention the Champions League. So there is nowhere to hide, and there are no excuses. And it's going to be very, very interesting over the next few weeks. But ultimately, I'm probably of a mindset where that previous chat was, to be honest. I think some fans are like, oh, if we lose at the weekend, Ollie will get the sack. He won't get... I personally don't think you should ever wish United are going to lose a game of football, by the way. But don't start wishing Man United are going to lose a game, because we want to win against Leicester. We want to win against Liverpool. Losing to Leicester and Liverpool, I don't think he'd lose his job. I think if he lost the next 3 games, he wouldn't lose his job. So I don't want that to happen. I think I can't write the future of what's going to happen with United, but if I could have 2 wishes about it, the first wish would be that Ollie's successful and that we win the league. The second wish, if I can't have that, is that we finish 4th. We're a long way off the top. We win no trophies, and they go, "You've taken us as far as we can. We're going to move you on." That's the worst scenario I would take. I don't want we're 8th at Christmas and he's sacked because it'll be a bloody mess. I would. That's the worst scenario I would take, because I think he should go if we finish 4th and we don't get any trophies, but it wouldn't do massive damage to us because we'd still have a lot of the players that we've got, and we'd also have Champions League football next year. I desperately don't want, and I know some of you do, but I desperately do not want the situation where short-term pain, long-term gain. We've done it too many times. I don't want to be back in the Europa League. I don't want to be back fighting with Arsenal and everyone else at 7th. We shouldn't be going back there again. Even Ollie shouldn't take us back there, because Ollie's took us 3rd and 2nd, so he should be able to get us top 4. To me, this is about maybe making a change in the summer. And hopefully we don't have to do that. Hopefully we are going to bounce back and we'll get in a title race and we'll look back on this and, smile. But ultimately, I would like the club to take some responsibility that if we are a long way off the title and we do finish 4th, they make a change. And if they make a change in the summer, then, that's going to be the sort of time that these people would like a job. I think that's when Zidane would like a job. But it's interesting as we develop the conversation. So we've been talking about why United wouldn't go for Conte or Zidane if they did move Ollie on, whether it's now or in the summer. And I think the summer would be the ideal, by the way, if that's going to happen. I'm not on the fence, Bodie. I don't even know what fence you're talking about. How can you be on the fence? There's no fence in the conversation. If Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wasn't a club legend, he wouldn't be in the job, full stop. He needs to go. We won't win anything under his coaching, says Nature Videos. But look, I want to offer a solution up here, because whilst people would listen to this video and they would go, well, if United don't want Zidane and if United don't want Conte, what if they do sack Solskjaer? What are they going to go for? Now, I think the board, as I said, would quite obviously go for a Southgate. I think they would. I really do. They'd never be able to appoint Southgate. There would be riots. Like, there would. He's crap. He's not even a good coach. So I think what United would look for is a Pochettino or an Enrique or a Ten Hag, something like that. I don't think they'd go for a Ten Hag because I don't think he's high profile enough. But I do think that they would look at an Enrique of Spain national coach, obviously, or a Pochettino who's at PSG. Potentially they'd look at a Brendan Rodgers. I don't think they'd go for that either. So, and again, these managers were mentioned in the article in the Manchester Evening News as well. But Pochettino will be out of his contract already in the summer. It was an 18-month contract. He will be out of contract in the summer. He's free and available in the summer. Luis Enrique is probably not going to want to leave Spain, to be honest with you, and you'd have to pay them for it. But Pochettino probably isn't unrealistic for Manchester United if certain things happen. And look, many of you, whether you're adamant Ollie outers, I've spoken to people who are Ollie inners, and they've said, look, I don't think ultimately he's going to be the right man. I'll sit here and say that. Do I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is the right man for Manchester United as we sit here right now? I'll be honest. I'm not going to sit on the fence. I don't like sitting on the fence. I'd rather say yes or no. But what I will say is no or yes with something behind it. Do I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is the man to lead Manchester United to Premier League titles? No. Not based on what we've seen so far. And I base that on, an honest assessment of what I've seen over the last 3 years. I've seen us lose many semi-finals. I've seen us not turn up in the final a few months ago. I've seen us be top of the league and somehow play a 90-minute game and lose to Sheffield United. I've seen us go on good runs and then I've seen us lose silly games at home like we did the other week. I've just seen too many ceilings of Solskjaer's capability at United. He seems to have a ceiling. And that ceiling, at the moment, has not been pushed through to win a title. As I said, I hope he can move through that ceiling. I'm sure that's what he's trying to do. But sat here right now, if you're going to sit me on the spot, I'm not going to sit here and go, oh, I don't know. The evidence is there over 3 years. Do I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer can win major titles, Manchester United? No. And the board of Manchester United should be asking themselves that question every day, because that's your bloody job, lads. That is your job. Your job is to be the boss of Manchester United on that board. And if you've employed somebody who you don't think is going to win you a title, are you a business or are you a football club? Well, hello, we're a business, because they ain't that bothered. They're like, if they're not... look, ultimately, This is not about sacking Solskjaer. What I'm saying is, if I'm being put on the spot and you're being put on the spot, do you think Solskjaer can win a title for Manchester United? Right here, right now, no. Ask me in another month, I might change, because if we win 4 games in a row in the Premier League and we're playing Man City and Liverpool, and we play good football, then the conversations change. But based on what I've seen this season and last season and the season before that, no. Right now, I don't think he can win us the title. I think he deserves a bit more time. People will argue with that, but I do. But right here, right now, no. I'm not on the board at Man United. You're not on the board at Manchester United. Why is a board member, and the clue's in the name, Manchester United Football Club, why is a board member at Manchester United Football Club not asking that same question? Can Solskjaer win us titles? And if they are asking that question, they've surely got to answer it in the same way all of us would answer. And if they are answering it that way, why are they not doing things about it? Because they're a business. And they've just made a load of money off Ronaldo. And they love Ollie. And they like the status quo. And actually, is it really about winning titles? Or is it really about top 4? And this is why, for me, it's always about changing the ownership to change the board. Because we've got, how can you constantly talk about going after a manager when we've got a board that's not even having the conversations we're having, and if they are having that conversation, they're not even bothered about it because we ain't a football club. And I guarantee you, at Liverpool or at Chelsea or at Man City, if they're having the same conversation as us right now, and they're going, you know what, I don't think this coaching setup's good enough to win us the title. Let's see what happens over the next few weeks, and if we're having the same conversation, we seriously need to look at making a change. Man United aren't doing that because it's status quo. And that, for me, is the problem. Always the problem. You can bring the best manager in the world in, but if the board isn't ambitious, it won't matter. And it does come from there. But I do think that if this season does go badly, and look, there are people wishing it does. I don't want that to happen, and I'm sure most of you don't, but it could. I'm not gonna lie that it could go from bad to worse. If it does go from bad to worse and Ollie does end up leaving, it won't be Conte. It probably won't be Zidane. It might be POCH. And I think out of the 3, Manchester United, if that situation arises, Vignesh says finishing 4th will be the worst, Mark. It would mean a horrible season and Ollie will still hold on to his job. Needs to get worse before it gets better, says Vignesh. But Vignesh, you make a great point there. Please smash a like on the video, by the way, if you're watching. You make a great point there, Vignesh, because you know what? I agree with you. If we finish 4th and we're 30 points off the top and we don't win a trophy, Ollie and his coaches should be packing their bags and going. And they should be saying, you know what, we understand. We've took it as far as we can. That's not Ollie's fault. That's the board. It's like what Phil Jones said. Ollie picks the team, not the fans. Ollie picks the team. It's not McFred's fault. It's not Phil Jones's fault if he plays at the weekend. It's Ollie's. Ollie picks the team. And hopefully that will be a good decision if that happens. But Ollie takes responsibility for that. If Ollie finishes 4th and doesn't win a trophy and we're miles off and we're playing crap football, it's not Ollie's fault if he's in a job next year. It's the bloody owners. And that's what I'm talking about. It's about the owners. And I think that, what does the board have to do with the tactics and picking McFred? How can Zidane or Poch be a bad thing? Says Sam. Sam, you've clearly not listened to the show. Well, what are you talking about? What does the board have to do with the tactics and picking McFred? Well, they have a lot to do with it. Of course they do. Mate, if I'm running... Right, Sam Ameson, you're my head chef, right? I'm the restaurant owner. I ain't turning up to work tonight. I own the place. I'm off out playing golf, right? I get a phone call from someone who goes to that restaurant and says, that's Sam Ameson. You won't believe what he's served up. The soup's cold. The steak is chicken. It's disgusting. Well, that's not my fault. Bye. I'm on the 8th hole. Of course it's my bloody fault. I own the restaurant. How can you say that, Sam? How can you say, what's the board got to do with the tactics we play and Ollie picking McFred? They own the bloody club. This is what I mean. They try to absolve themselves of blame, but of course they're to blame. They're massively part to do with it. How can Zidane or Poch be a bad thing? Sam, you've not watched the show. I think you've just tuned in and gone off a title. I'm not talking about Zidane or Poch being a bad thing. We're talking about what this club will do. And I personally think if the club had the choice between Conte, Poch and Zidane, it would be Pochettino they went for. And the reason they'll go for Pochettino is this. Again, he's not a volatile coach. He's a respectful coach. He's managed in the Premier League. And he, doesn't have that winning sort of persona that Zidane would have. They'd be in fear of Zidane because he's bigger than them, and they'd be in fear of Conte because he's volatile. Pochettino is the one that the board would go for. Would I go for Pochettino? No, I'd go for Zidane, because I'm not convinced about Pochettino. I like Pochettino, but I'm not convinced. Do I think Pochettino's a better coach than Ollie? Yes, I think Conte's a better coach than Ollie, but it's not that simple. It's about what's best for Manchester United. What's best for Manchester United, if I'm absolutely honest, is that Ollie starts winning games and we bloody win a title, because it's less disruption. But Conte would come in my opinion, and, you know, just be an entity to himself, and the team would be an entity of Conte for a couple of years, and then he'd go. Pochettino would come in and probably do what Ollie's done. I think Pochettino would take us so far, but not all the way. Zidane, he's the big unknown. He's a winner. He could come in and make us something very, 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 very special. So, that, you know, but ultimately, the sad thing is, if you do change a manager, there's no certainty. And what pisses me off the most is it's another reset. It's another I need money. It's another rebuild. And then, you know, we're well over 10 years since we've won a title. So everything in me wants this to work under Solskjaer. But look, my eyes are wide open to it. But the club, I think the eyes are wide shut for the club. I think they're just praying this is going to work. What if Ollie wins next 4 matches because of individual moments and we continue to play crap? Then as per the evidence up till now, it's better to start looking for someone else for the long run, says Pranay. Mate, if we win the next 4 games and the football's crap and we grind it out, I won't be surprised. Would you be surprised? We've done it loads of times. There's probably a good chance that we do have 4 good Premier League results and we don't particularly play well. I've said this before, Rashford's coming back into the team. Rashford's even more plays into the long ball out the back moments FC. So, you know, of course that could happen. But in all honesty, you're telling me you should sack a manager if he goes and gets 4 good results against the 4 teams we've got. Well, it won't happen, and it shouldn't happen. The longer term conversation continues about whether he's the right man and whether he can win titles playing bad football. But there's a guy called Jose Mourinho who did that. You would never be able to be a manager as good as Ollie. You think you know it all, but you sadly don't, says Daniel. Okay. Always nice to do a super chat and expose yourself as a prat, but there you go. And Randall says, how many more players... Anyway, no, I'll go back on that one, because you know what? I couldn't do as good a job as Ollie. I wouldn't... Well, maybe I could, but I don't think I would. Why would I? I'm not a coach. I've not been a player at Manchester United. I've not done my badges. Of course Ollie should be better than me. It's not about whether Ollie's better than me. It's not about whether he's better than you. It's about whether Ollie's good enough to win a title with Manchester United. Because if we're employing people because they're better than me as a manager, bloody hell, go and get Neil Warnock in charge. Like, what? It's an irrelevant point. How many more players does Ollie need to consistently win games and play good football? This needing a perfect squad argument is getting ridiculous, says Randall. Well, yeah, look, you know, it's always going to get pulled back into Ollie, isn't it? But the reality is, with the players that he's got, he should be doing a lot better. But I think that just gets filed under the no excuses line. That there are no excuses. I don't think anybody looks at our squad and goes, yeah, he needs a CDM before he can win. Like, we do need a CDM, but it's not enough for us not to be able to win. Not by a long shot. We should still be winning, definitely. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe, by the way. I do want to get into this. I mean, and this was meant to be part of the morning show, and it sort of drifted into the 2 o'clock show. So I do want to get into this conversation. And what I do want to say is that thanks for the super chat there from Alan Gurren. There is Twitch today, Tom. It's at 3 o'clock. So straight after this, I'll be doing my FIFA career mode. Some of the best football you'll see from Manchester United this season on Goldbridge Twitch, Manchester United FIFA 22 career mode. Hi, Mark. For me, just an attacking coach, free-flowing football. Donny in, says Mikael Roach. Who do you think this board would go for if we did ever decide to move on from Ollie? Because this is the thing that sounds like it's a hypothetical, what, you know. But actually, it's probably the most important question you'll face. As I said at the start of the video, if you're Ollie out, you're Ollie out, right? But if you're going to be Ollie out, I think one thing we've learnt on this community and from the Man United fan base over the years is that the United fan base hits a little different. You know, it has got depth, it has got understanding, I believe. And I think we're better than what certain other clubs, Arsenal, do, which is sack Arteta and get Zidane. Like, well, Zidane wouldn't piss on Arsenal if they're on fire. Like, he's not going to go there, is he? We shouldn't be like that as a fan base. We shouldn't be sack Ollie and get Conte. Because on many levels, Conte would be the wrong manager for me. The club wouldn't go near him anyway. I think if you're going to offer up something, actually think it through and go, that would work. And nobody can give any guarantees that anything's going to work. But, I think what I don't like is reactionary sort of... Look, and I can be reactionary when we lose a game in the minutes after a match. I think anybody can. But what I don't like to read is, Ollie out and get Pep. Ollie out, I actually... What I want to see is a viable solution or opinion or alternative. Mark, what are your thoughts on someone, the Graham Potter or Thomas Frank for United? Well, look, I thought someone, that's from Teakoff. I knew somebody would mention Potter. Never in a million years. For me, it's the Eddie Howe argument of 3 years ago. He's done a great job at Brighton. He's never managed anybody decent, and he's never managed a team that's even a Europa candidate. So I wouldn't go anywhere near Potter. Look, Sir Alex Ferguson was a risk, but Sir Alex Ferguson had won a European trophy and a Premier League, Scottish Premier League title, or whatever it was called then. Welcome to the Members Club, Akash. What attacking players do we actually need to start playing? We score more than you football. We have it all. Start attacking, Ollie. You dull flannel, says James. And if Ollie goes, we might get a short-term manager who wins. More likely as a long-term yes man who the board can control. And this is where it's at for me. Joshua Bellwater with a really good chat there. This is where it's at for me. I've said it for the last 2 years. And look, I'm never going to stop being critical of Ollie if the football's not good enough. And I'm very critical of Ollie at the moment, as you know. And I know some people are absolutely obsessed with me saying the words Ollie out. But I have said this a few times. I have dropped the hint to you a few times. That for me, I said it before. I said it at the start of last season, not this season. The summer we didn't get Sancho. The summer we didn't get a centre-back. When we bought Cavani, I said at the start of that season, and I think I said it at the start of the season before that as well, I don't want to hear Ollie out before I hear Glazers out. Because we've done this too many times. Moyes, Van Gaal, Mourinho, now Ollie. How many times do you need to bang your thumb with a nail before you realise it's the hammer that's doing the damage? It's bang your thumb with a nail. Bang your thumb with a hammer before you realise it's your other hand doing the damage. Who's holding the hammer? The Glazers. The thumb, the manager, everyone who goes after the thumb. Go after the hammer. The hammer. Hammer time! Can't touch this. You can't touch them though. That's the problem. But I think that I accept there is a scenario, some would say quite a likely scenario, that in the next weeks, months, Ollie will lose his job. Because the media are stuck in the media are the media. Ex-players are ex-players. Fans are fans. One thing that's constant in football, and one thing I'll never, ever start saying is wrong, is that I've seen Graham Taylor as an England manager with a turnip on his head on the back of the newspaper. Managers have been hounded out all my life and before. Managers being hounded out because they're not good enough. I'm sorry, that's your job. And maybe that's going to happen to Ollie at some point, and it probably will happen. But for me, I'll keep saying it, and I'll probably say it as in a minority. But Ollie would, if Ollie's going to get the sack under the Glazers, he'd get the sack under a new owner way before. Because the Glazers aren't good owners. So if we get to the point where the Glazers are going to sack Ollie, then I want to see the Glazers go. I want to see the Glazers go before. Because competent owners would remove an incompetent manager anyway. But why do we keep having to listen and be dictated to by incompetent owners? How many times are they going to get it wrong? They've been getting it wrong for 8 years. The only reason they didn't get it wrong for all of their tenure is because they had the greatest manager that's ever lived in Sir Alex Ferguson, who defied their incompetence and made us still competitive. I do not want to see Ollie go before the Glazers go, but that is an ideal that's never going to happen. So even if we see Ollie go, and the whole point of this video is, and referencing the Manchester Evening News article like we have this morning, is that if Ollie goes, you're still in the hands of the incompetent people. Like, should Mourinho have been our manager? Yes. Should Van Gaal have been our manager? I wasn't unhappy at the time. Should Moyes have been our manager? No. Should Ollie have got the job when he did? There's an argument to say that they should have waited till the summer. So they're incompetent. And I would like to see the Glazers go today. But I'd certainly like to see them go before Ollie goes, because I think competent owners would make a big difference at this football club. But the point I'm making is that the Glazers aren't going to go anywhere. And if Ollie does end up losing his job, it'll be the Glazers who decide who the next manager is. I don't trust this board. I don't trust the Glazers. I don't think they know anything about football. So our next manager after Ollie, God knows who it could be. But it probably won't be the right man. Ollie is the best manager in the Prem, says Daniel. Oh, he's at it again. And I can't see us improving at all. Moments FC for the rest of the season. Get fourth, same boring football. Zidane in, says Jacob. My only worry is that the board replaces Ollie with Southgate. I wouldn't put it past them, another yes man. Amit, I genuinely think that the board would like Southgate. They were linked to him in the past. But there's absolutely no way. There is. If you thought Moyes was lukewarm reception, imagine if they tried to bring Gareth Southgate to Manchester United. His football is crap. His CV is crap. He's never going to... And he's got no connection with United. They would not be allowed. That would not happen, thankfully. Mark, do you think Rashford goes straight into the team or do we keep playing Greenwood and Sancho? Jonas, I think you know the answer to that. Rashford will go straight in. Apparently he will be fit for Saturday as well. Brighton play much better football than United over the last 2 years with a squad that cost one Fred, says Gareth. Look, you know what, Gareth? I like your points, but let me just say this. You have to always try and be balanced in your opinion. I know we've got strong opinions, but you should always try. And it's not always easy, but try to be balanced. What you've just said there, do Brighton play better football than Manchester United? Yes, they do. Do they have the pressure of Manchester United? No, they don't. Do they have the expectation of Manchester United? No, they don't. Do Brighton play against teams that sit back and park the bus against them? No, they don't. You can't just say because Potter plays good football with Brighton that he'd absolutely take that to Manchester United. It's a whole different world. When he goes to work at Brighton, does he have the same email inbox or pressure or interviews or standards or anything like that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's got? I think Potter would drown at Manchester United. Absolutely drowned. And it would be horrible to watch. I don't mean literally. It's not like he's going to fall in the Orwell and drowned. But Orwell, that's the bloody author. POCH has the potential to become great with United and stay for years. Zidane and Conte will only see us as a project, says Bradley. The trouble with POCH is I'm not convinced by POCH either. But, you know, the grass isn't always greener. But Potter, for me, the path for Potter to be a top manager is a Villa or an Everton or a West Ham. I think Spurs should have gone for him. And if he goes there and does well, then you get a Liverpool or a Man United or a Chelsea or a City. At the moment, Potter is manager club in the bottom half of the Premier League. There is a huge step. I would love to see Potter go to West Ham or to Everton or to Spurs, but not from there to Man United. Potter's better than Ollie any day. Ollie would relegate Brighton, says Joshua. Very different thing. Again, I don't disagree with you. I think Potter's a better coach, but Ollie's got more understanding of what managing Manchester United is. But I was having this conversation this morning with Drawty. You know, would Newcastle want Solskjaer? No, they wouldn't. Would Brighton want Solskjaer? No. No other club would take Ollie, but no other club was looking at Lampard, really. The reality is, Ollie got the job because of his connections to Manchester United. He didn't get it because he was the best coach available. But that doesn't make it wrong. And we all sang Ollie's at the wheel. You can't rewrite history. I wanted Ollie to get the contract. I sang the song. Most of you did as well. So I don't think we can go back saying it was wrong to give him the job, although I think the board should have waited till the summer like they promised to. You know, they're not fans, they're business people, and they should run the club like a, you know, not like a business, but like a, you know, they should be... What I'm trying to say is that the football club should always be run like a football club, but it should be run without emotion. You know, we were all singing Ollie's at the wheel. Ed Woodward didn't have to come down and start singing it as well with a contract. He said he was going to wait till the summer, and he should have waited till the summer. When Ollie went to work at somewhere like Brighton, he relegated them. Yeah, James, I sort of a follow up on the previous point there, but I think I've sort of covered that. You know, I don't know what your point is. So Ollie relegated Cardiff, so that means that Potter would do well at United. I don't want Potter. I'd rather have Conte than Potter. I don't want Potter anywhere near United. Unless it's Harry Potter and he's going to do some magic. Put Ronaldo in an invisibility cloak and he just takes the ball with him and it's a goal. But no, I think Potter is the old Eddie Howe from 3 years ago. It would be in my opinion, a disaster. To take a manager that's got no clue about managing a big club or big players or big budgets, no. He's got to go through the path, really. It's a bit like buying a player from Preston that looks really, really good and sticking him up front for United. I'd rather he went to Everton first and proves he can play in the Premier League. Doesn't mean it couldn't happen, but for me, it would be a dangerous thing to do. A very dangerous thing to do. Is pressure getting to United players? We won almost everything last year with no crowd, says GJ. Can I read that again? We won almost everything last year with no crowd. We won almost everything last year. What, GJ? What did we win almost everything of last year? We won nothing last year. We came second and we got to a Europa League final. We didn't almost win anything. But we've got this an amazing away record, which I think Adam spoke about on Sunday night when we were on the show together. I think our away record has got nothing to do with fans. I mean, I think it's harder to win away when there are fans there, and maybe that helps us go on this amazing run. But I will give Ollie a bit of praise here. The away record that we've got is fantastic. It's a record-breaking away run, isn't it? But what Ollie's good at, and what we hate, is counter-attacking football with very little possession or tempo. Well, that's perfect. You go to Norwich, even though they're crap, they're at home against United, their fans will expect them to have a go. And Ollie will be like, they're having a go, Karaki. Hit that long ball for Annie. Rashi's in, 1-0, game over. And that's... We're very good at that. We've beat Man City like that. We've beat Chelsea like that. We're very good at sitting back with a back, sometimes a back eight, and then hitting a team on the break. And I think this is why we're very good away from home, is because away from home, a Brighton or a Southampton, they've got to go at us a little bit. Whereas at Old Trafford, they'll sit back. And I think this is why we're a very good away side. And we're also very good when we play a team that's going to have a lot of the ball. And we're playing Liverpool and Man City at home in the next month. And I think we can cause them problems because we will give up 60% possession. But we'll defend well and hit on the break. My point, Mark, is that Ollie has had a basic team, relegated them. Now he has a super team and can't get a tune out of them. The man is not a winner, says James. Well, I'm not going to argue with that. As I said, at the moment, I think, he isn't capable of winning as a title. I live in hope. Of course I do. But, Thomas Henry says, Conte is Jose-esque. Yes, he is. I personally wouldn't take Conte at United, even if a situation develops that we could. And I've said why. But the club won't go anywhere near him. Under the current regime, they will not go near a Conte because it'll expose them. And he's too volatile, and they don't want that. They want the status quo. You look at United's current setup. Mike Phelan, very happy with his life at United. He ain't going to make any waves. He's coming towards the end of his career as well. He's not like he's ambitious, is he? He's not looking for a Premier League job himself. He's going to fall into line. You've got Ollie, who we know falls into line. I mean, look, even Ollie, when all the bloody Super League stuff was going on, was saying, the Glazers are good people. So he's always going to toe the party line. Carrick, he's not really a personable person, is he? Publicly, he doesn't really do interviews or anything like that. Didn't really do them as a player. So Carrick's going to keep his mouth shut. And McKenna, well, we don't really know much about McKenna. He might be ambitious, but he's new. He's in a very good job. United have got the perfect management team there. Everybody's eternally grateful for the opportunity they've got. And look, you know what? It's a great point. And whoever started it off is right. Remember when we gave Ollie the job? Ollie got the job in the March, coming up for 3 years ago. I definitely remember talking about this on a show. I'll come into it in a minute, because Gareth says, I agree with you on Potter handling the pressure, not ready yet. He has a master's in emotional intelligence at sport as well as being a superior coach. And if you're the restaurant owner, you've given me the kitchen utensils, but I'm still using blunt knives and rusty pans. Who do you sack? But Sam, you're not talking about the Glazers there. You're talking about me. Of course, I'm going to sack you if I've given you the tools and you're not doing the job. But I don't think the Glazers have provided any manager with the tools, so I blame the Glazers over any coach. Do I think Ollie should be doing better? Yes. Do I think the Glazers are the right coach? No. We need to be looking for the next Klopp or Pep. That's Ten Hag or Nagelsmann. We tried experience, tried ex-legend. Let's try talent and tactics, says Aram. Pochettino from Southampton sort of manager is the sort of thing we should be looking at. You know, these people that, you know, are universally, and Nagelsmann's another one. These managers, like you say, like the Klopps, who are, you know, European-wide known as good coaches with ideas. That's what United need to be looking at. We need a style of play. We need a manager with a style of play. 100%. We do need that, and the right style of play. But just going back to what I was going to say, remember I said, actually, just before I do that, I am wearing the the Last Dance United Stand hoodie. And through the link in the video description, you can get yours. We do ship worldwide. The weather is turning. It's going a little bit more autumnal. So you can still get your T-shirts. But we've got the Viva hoodie. We've got the Last Dance hoodie. Just Give It. T-shirts as well. Mugs. We ship worldwide. The link is in the video description. And you can get yours through that, as I am wearing mine right now. So there you go. Link in the video description for that. But what I was going to talk about is remember when Ollie got the job back in the March, and I was singing Ollie's at the Wheel at the time, so I'm not gonna lie and pretend that I wasn't. I was singing Ollie's at the Wheel at the time. But what I did say, and I remember saying it, was my only concern with Ollie, and this was when I wanted him to get the job. I said my only concern with Ollie is that if we wait till the summer and we decide we want POCH or Zidane or whoever, you've got to negotiate with them. If we'd have gone for Zidane that summer, or Pochettino that summer, and not gone with Ollie and said, look, Ollie, you've done a good job as an interim, but it fell apart at the end, we're not going to go with you. And look, you know what? I'll never, ever forgive the Glazers for this, and Ed Woodward for this. When Mourinho got the sack, Woodward came out and said, we're not going to make any rush decisions. We're going to wait until the summer, and we're going to have a really big look at what's available. What happened? Went on a good run till March. Granted, the fans played their part. Ollie's at the wheel, and Woodward gave him the contract. He signed the contract at the end of March, and the season fell apart, and we didn't even get top four. If we'd have just waited till the summer, and Ollie had got top four, give him the contract. If we'd waited till the summer and it had all fallen apart like it did, thanks Ollie, thanks Carrick, thanks Phelan, thanks McKenna. We're going to go and get a proper manager in now. People forget that. Woodward said they were going to wait till the summer and not make a rush decision. Now, as fans, we made a rush decision. That's what fans do. We're emotional. The club didn't do what they said they were going to do. And if they'd waited till the summer, we might never be in this situation. For many different reasons. But it did fall apart as soon as they gave him the contract. And then the contract had been given. Now, if they'd waited till that summer and gone to Zidane, he would have said, I'll take the job if this, this and this happen. And if they'd gone to Pochettino, he would have said, I'll take the job if this, this and this happens. They'd have come into the job with conditions, with power. Obviously, when they gave Ollie the job, Ollie was like, where do I sign? He was grateful. He was like, I can't believe it. It's a dream ticket. And that was my only ever concern. When we gave Ollie the job, I was there singing Ollie's at the wheel. And I'll never lie about that. I wanted him to sign that contract. I wanted him to get it. But the concern I had was that appointing somebody who is grateful, well, they're always going to be grateful. They're always going to be indebted. And I thought it needed to go well, because if it ever goes wrong, that manager is always indebted to those owners. And therefore, those owners have got him like that. And they have. They have got Ollie like that. They've got him by the balls because he's indebted to them. They gave him the greatest thing ever in his managerial career. And the power is with them because of that. But, it's only an observation. Whether it means anything or not, I don't know. Ollie got the job because he played fast attacking football, says Salesh. You know what, Salesh? I can't remember. I don't know whether you're right or wrong. I mean, to be honest with you, I remember going to a couple of games just before he got the job. Southampton at home 3-2. It wasn't fast attacking football. We very nearly lost that. We ended up winning it. But it's so long ago, I don't remember. I'm not even going to profess to remember what the football was like. I remember I was very excited because we were winning a lot of games and we were doing really well and there was a good buzz around the place. But look, has he played good football since then? That's the problem. That is the problem. And if he did play good football then, we all got he's mugged himself off. You know, why did he stop? Why did he stop playing like that? You know, that's the problem, isn't it? Jose, I've got no regrets about Jose. Jose definitely should have gone. It was 100% the right decision to get rid of Jose. I'd never, ever argue with that. I thought that Jose had run his course, and you know, probably because he was a volatile coach, the damage had been done, and it was time for him to go. But yeah. Look, I tell you what, make sure you smash a like a video and subscribe. I mean, my work is not done. My work is not done. I'm going to be over on Twitch playing FIFA Career Mode now, and I've got to win. Otherwise, I'll be getting the same treatment as Ollie. Season 2, lost the opening day, won the next 3. So let's see how it goes. If you want to join me for that, I'm going to be live on Twitch in literally 5 minutes. I'll be tweeting it out off at Mark Goldbridge. Make sure you smash a like on the video, by the way. I really enjoyed this show this afternoon. It was weird because it was meant to be on the morning show, but the other topic on the morning show took hold of that, so we got to do it this afternoon. I will be live at 7 o'clock tonight. 8 o'clock show will be at 7 o'clock because I'm doing an England watch along at 7:45 on That's Football. So we'll be live at 7 o'clock tonight instead of 8 o'clock. Tune in for that. And if you're off to bed, I don't know what time it is for you, but if you're off to bed like Dab, have a good night's sleep. But if you want to watch a bit of Goldbridge playing FIFA, I'm going to be live in 5 minutes on Twitch. You can check that out when I tweet it out on there. Thanks everybody for watching. Is Steve Bruce a better manager than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? That's a show in itself. I'll leave you with that. Maybe we'll pick it up at 7. Thanks for watching. Speak to you in a bit. And if you want to get your hoodies and that, links in the video description. We do ship worldwide.